Hello, my name is Joe Tambour. I'm from Cutladeche First Nation, Hay River. And today I want to talk about the olden days, how I was brought up. Back in the olden days, we had a hard time. We never had no power, but we survived. And all we had was gasoline lamp, coal oil lamp, and sometimes we have candles. We didn't have no electricity, and back then it was like people were concerned and were worried about other people. There were no such thing as homeless people back then. Everybody looked after each other. And when I was growing up, I was raised by my grandmother, because there were too many in our family, so my grandmother took me and started raising me. While I was living with her back in the 50s and 60s, I went to school, but when we went to school, we had to go across with a boat. Summertime, wintertime, we came and got us with a bus. That's how we went to school. And I went to Federal Day School and St. Paul's School. And then back then, there were no such thing as drugs or alcohol. Nothing. It was just nice village we live in. And we don't talk back to our elders. We listen to them, even though they're not our uncle or auntie. They tell us something, we obey them. They help us. They tell us why we should listen. They explain to us. That's how I was brought up. I was brought up to believe in what the elders say. My dad always told me that. He said, "My boy, always talk about what you know. Don't talk about something you don't know." My dad always told me that, and I always practice that. I do things like what I do, drumming. I talk about drumming. I tell people that there's no harm in this. There's no evil, nothing. Just the spirit of what the Creator gave us to be right in between the Creator and us. It's right in between. That's what gives a message. And the elders used it, and as we use it now. I believe that when we were young, we always did things for the elders, even though we don't get paid or not. Sometimes they give us bannock, tea. That was good enough for us. We just want to help elders. That's what we do. And mostly my grandmother always made sure that I brought wood in, make sure I have little kindlings for in the morning. I don't make fire, but they do. But I have to do it. I do wood for her, and then I go with my little sleigh, I go get ice. She likes iced tea, so I usually do that after school, and then I go out and play with my friends. Back then we didn't have no skating ring, nothing. We had to look for ponds. That's how we used to play hockey. But we didn't have no pucks, so we used tin can. That's what we used, and stick. We had no hockey stick. We're pitiful. Some of us have skates, some of us don't, but we run around. We did that. We go sliding, and sometimes we go for a dog. We take our little dog for a run. 2 dogs, sometimes 1 dog. Depends on what kind of sleigh you use. But we had a lot of fun back then, and then summertime we always made things our own. We don't buy anything like toys and that. We make our own. We make little wagons out of little box, out of a wood. We use those beer caps for wheels. That's how we used to. And then we used to make boats, little wooden boats, and we used to cut out the propeller and twist it a little bit and put it on we make a little kicker, we put it on there, and we used to run with it. Used to see little water just spring way up. We used to do that. And then we go out for berries. My grandmother always said, "Okay, let's go get berries." And every time we go for berries, she had candy for me. So I don't eat the berries. I eat the candies. They're smart. And back then we used to pick a lot of berries. Today is nothing. You don't see it because of fire that happened here. And back then we had, we used to like riding with a horse. Like my uncle had 2 horses. He had a big sled. We sit on there on the wood with Sam, my cousin Sam Lamley's. And then we used to go with him all the time. When he's going to go for wood, we're waiting. He knows that we're going to help him, so we do that. And for helping him, he gives us a ride. That's how it was back then. You don't need money. If you get money, we know where it goes to. It's always candies, or candies. And we used to have so much fun, like. But we never had, I don't know if we had drummers, but I know that Meander River used to send drummers to come and have a drum dance in the old village. And I told my dad, how come we don't have drummers? He said, we do, but they're all passed on. The drummers, the prophets, we had all that. Prophet is somebody that predicts what's going to happen in the future. And they also know when you're sick. These are the kind of people that they help us. And the elders tells us and puts their hand on us and say how long we're going to live. And there's one elder, Gabe Sunrise, Gotistia we call him in Slavey. He always come to me and give me a quarter. Then he just loved me so much, he hugs me. And I run to, of course I got to run for ice cream. Ice cream was 10 cents back then. So I used to go to Ed McCory's, get ice cream. And I used to sit across, I go with my mom and dad. They buy stuff, I help them. But me, I live with my grandmother, so she's always got everything. I didn't have to buy anything. And I remember that 1963, the flood came. And I remember we didn't have no vehicles. So my uncle had dogs, we had to put them in harness, 6 of them. He had a sleigh, we loaded and we put my grandmother on there. And of course me and her little dog, we all took off in the bush. We went towards Santa Creek. That's where we stayed until the water went down again. It was flooded all over, like, and the whole town too. The only way you can get to the hospital back then was you got to use a boat. And people were going with a boat too, because the water was too high. And what happened is at the mouth of the river, ice was about 4 feet thick back then. And it jammed. And they had a plane, or jet plane flying around. They wanted to shoot it, to open it, the canal, but the fishermen said no, might kill too much fish. So instead we flooded out and we got with the one, stayed there. And after the flood was over, we had to come back to community. There were a lot of dogs died in that flood back then. They were left with a collar on and they didn't have a chance to get away. We didn't have a chance to loosen them. So we had to clean up the whole community. Back then the town was just starting too. There was only a hardware store and a drug store and post office, Hudson Bay store, Bobby's store, Wee store. There were about 6 or 7 stores we had back then. And then after the 63 flood, everybody moved to the new town site, which is now presently Hair town of Hair. And that's where everybody moved to. And then I remember a lot of people moved from Old Town. And West Channel was they still stayed West Channel. They didn't move them there, even though they flooded out. That's where the fishermen were. And there were people from Manitoba, Saskatchewan. They all lived there. We used to go visit them. And I went out fishing, and that's what we did. For us, our life was simple. We only needed like what we can make, porridge, oatmeal, we had. Mostly we lived off the land, the fishing, the animals, like beaver, muskrats, geese, all kinds of ducks. That's how we used to live in. And nobody cared about candies or nothing. Back then there was no pop or juice. They had juice, but you got to make it. You got to use your own water and get juice. And that's our pop for us. But we liked tea. That was the best. And then when we started going to school, I went to school with only moccasins. Back then I didn't have no shoes. My grandmother didn't want me to wear shoes, so moccasins all the time. And I remember we had to play in the gym. And we don't have runners, so they said we have to go bare feet. I said, no, we don't want to because we don't want to show our black feet. We do. So sometimes we have a hole in our socks we didn't want to show it. So we don't want to play with it. As much as we want to, but we let the white people play. We just watch. And back in school days, it wasn't easy. It was very hard. But the people were nice to us. And when we were in a community, nobody was left alone. No elder was ever alone. Every time an elder lives alone, can't cook, somebody else would cook, go bring it to him. That's how it was. And we shared. And when an elder comes and visits us, we make sure we feed them. That's what we do. And our mom and our parents tell us, don't walk behind an elder when you eat. I said, oh, that's disrespectful. Got to sit down and wait till they finish eating. Oh, I said, so that's how they taught us how to respect elders. Because the elders tells us story, tells us about the drum. They say that, when we get sick, we use drum. Ceremonies, death, celebration of people, newborn babies. We used to do that in weddings. They do that. And then we just started using it recently. 88 was the first time we ever had a drum band. And that was when I brought back the drummers. Had 10 drummers. And I learned all that drumming from people like Michelle Louis Rabeska. I lived with them in Fort Ray. 2 years I stayed there. And then I stayed in Fort Smith. And I had to learn Chippewan and dog rip, so I learned that language. Then I became an interpreter. So that was my job. Today I'm kind of sick with what the doctor called cancer, but I beat it. I thank God He took it away. I use Wiscom juice and Sachaga. It really helped me. And also every day I pray and use my drum. When elders told us long time ago, my dad told me, he said, my son, if you get sick, he said, you accept it, you're going to be sick. But if you don't accept it, you'll never get sick. That's a good advice. I'm glad he told me that. So I believe in all my heart that I know there's a creator because he helped me. Today I'm coming back drumming again. I won't be able to go back to work yet, but I will be there. I just want to say that it takes a whole community to raise a child. Back then it was like that. No kid was left alone. If you were to babysat your sibling, you do it for nothing. Today, you got to pay somebody. Back then you didn't have to. Back then you just give him bread or something. That was good enough for us. And that's how people were. And we went to church every day, every Sunday. I used to sit I didn't go in church because it's too full. I sit outside, I listen to them. So a lot of us kids, we do that. We sit outside. We play around while we're waiting. And that's how it was back then. And people used to live dressed really nice like this. They dress up nice for church. Today it's not like that. Today is different. With cowboy jeans, shoes, cowboy shoes, hats. Back then it wasn't that. It was good. But I just want to share with you that we need to bring back what we believe, what can help our people. The native people back then, the Dene people, were not drunks. You never see hardly any people like that. And they were never homeless. Everybody helped them. Everybody loved them. Whether it's your parents or your family or not, you look at them. Everybody looked at each other as our uncle, our aunties, our grandmothers, our grandfathers. That's how it was. And everybody raised me. The whole community raised me. They loved me. And I know that. So today I became a good person. I never drank for 42 years. Don't do drugs. I teach young people, help them to understand there's more to life than what they're doing to destroy themselves. I just pray and hope that the young people will learn and pick up something like a drum or get a hobby, something that's nice and clean. Get away from that stuff. That's the way you can help your kids. Someday you're going to be responsible. Take responsibility now and get away from all what you do. I did that. You could do it. I do it. You could do it. Thank you very much.